Bold words to say right before an absolute auditory train wreck.
Listen, we have been doing this for long enough that we can pull it together and pretend to be professional. We managed to do it on the treatment.
No, we don't. We managed to do it long enough for Mark to get through the intro, and then I just completely fuck my shit up. I can't remember the last time I've recorded a podcast sober. Not a treatment, not any of the lit streams I've been on. Not this brand new episode of Soon to Be a Major Motion Podcast. The podcast where we watch books that are based off shitting fuck. Where we read books. I even have it written down somewhere. Where we read books that are turned into movies and watch movies that are based on books. I am Billy Beck.
I am Cody Beck.
And for some reason we think we're good at this.
Honestly, it's freaking me out because I'm so used to being able to see it on the TV, and now that you're not using the TV as a monitor. Yeah,
there's just a blank, empty TV in front of us.
So I didn't see the glow out of the corner of my eye, so I didn't even look up for my phone and realize that you had started yet.
Gotcha. Snuck in there.
You tricked me.
I recorded all of your secrets.
Honey. I am a loudmouth bitch who's probably autistic and also has a shitload of Gemini placements. My secrets are already out there. That was a joke for like 5 people.
So how was your week?
It's been good. I've been getting a lot of sleep because, unlike most of the time, I have the bed to myself. Do you want to talk about why I have the bed to myself, William? And how your week has been?
I just, belched in the middle of that.
Do you want me to go back?
No, I'm just going to acknowledge it and move on. I have not been getting good sleep because I have been sleeping on the couch. And...
by choice.
By expensive choice, because it is with heavy hearts that we say that Cody and I are getting divorced. And this is the last episode. No, I'm absolutely kidding. I can't keep that in, can I? It's there's a thing going on. It's this this upstart organization is trying to promote peace through sport, and they're doing a little event in Italy, and I've been watching it. It's the Winter Olympics are happening.
Those of you who have been listening to the pod long enough may recall the Summer Olympics.
When the Summer Olympics happened in 2024, and we recorded 2 pods back to back, and I edited them before opening ceremonies so that I could just kick back for 3 weeks.
We did actually research, and by we I mean Bill actually researched to see if there were any books that were tangentially related to the Winter Olympics, and unfortunately there are not.
If only Cool Runnings were based on the book, or what's that one about the ski jumper, Eddie the Eagle?
Oh, I mean he's probably written a memoir, right?
I don't know. But no, there's no Winter Olympics-y books. And we also didn't pre-record this, so I am 6 days into sleeping on the couch.
Wait,
because the curling's on at 1 a.m. I gotta watch the curling. I gotta support the Corys through their silver medal campaign. Let's go, kids.
They're like our age.
No, they are. No, Chalk and Bates are our age. They also got theirs. There's been a real silver games. Chloe Kim got a silver. Chalky Bates got a silver. Curling got a silver.
We got a gold in
the hockey's probably going to get a silver.
We got a gold in that one event where Lindsey Vonn died.
Yeah.
She didn't die. Her leg exploded.
What's her name? Breezy Johnson?
Breezy Johnson, gold medalist.
Got that gold in the downhill?
We're better than the fucking Finn, right? He is Finnish, right? The cheating scandal?
Norwegian guy?
Norwegian guy!
Yeah, we haven't had any of that shit happen to our athletes.
Bro, I learned more about that today. Can we talk about it for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
They had been dating for 6 months.
Oh no, that was in the speech.
He said on her 3 months in.
His speech was 6 months ago. I met the love of my life, and 3 months ago I cheated on her. Bro, you got bronze. Be happier on camera.
So the other thing that I learned is they asked the girl about it, and she was like, I'm really happy his teammate got gold. That's really cool. His speech was really cool. Just flat out, it did not acknowledge him. And second, The guy who won gold, his fucking speech and victory was dedicated to the fact that their third teammate fucking died, and this is his first major competition since then, when he discovered the fucking body. What an absolute massive ego on this fucking bronze medalist. Ugh.
Well, he wanted to make his grand gesture, right?
If there are any men listening to this podcast, Mark, you're excluded. Do not fucking do that. Do not take a moment that should be about literally anything else and make it about your fucking feelings and your inability to deal with them. Fuck you, Norwegian guy.
Yup.
Okay, I'm done now.
I love the Olympics. There's always something.
I've calmed down.
Remember that like 41-year-old snowboarder that won and then like stripped off his shirt and flexed at the camera and then like cried into the snow?
You know what? They honestly, at least this cheating scandal isn't just Russia's doping again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, at least this cheating scandal isn't cheating on a sporting level.
This one's like a fun cheating scandal.
Unless he was like, oh, I cheated on my coach with steroids after 3 months. Like,
yes.
Gotta love the Olympics.
Well, we're here to talk about something that is like as far away from the Olympics as possible.
No, it's not. Jesse Owens.
That's true. I was just thinking it's hot. It takes place during the summer, probably.
Oh, most of the like alpine skiing events are in the daytime in the cold, and this is like, like a warm evening time, maybe.
Would you say it's...
in which these characters are performing their tasks?
Would you say that this takes place primarily during the heat of the night?
In the heat of the night, you say? You'll never guess what movie I watched.
What movie did you watch?
Guess what book you read. We're doing the thing. We did Heat of the Night. In the heat of the night. I'm falling apart.
Are you sure you're sober?
I'm not sober. I took a big old hit and that's got tequila in it.
Oh, I didn't know. I just thought it was squirt. I didn't know there was...
Yeah, because I like to make a glass that I gotta clean later and put ice in my soda pop.
I thought maybe it wasn't cold enough for you. I don't know.
It was in the fridge for a week. This is what life is like in our home. Oh, we're really airing it out now.
This is why we're getting divorced.
This episode ends in divorce for real. Oh.
My ring just pings off of your microphone.
I don't even know why we still do the fucking bit, because, like, the title of the podcast is In the Heat of the Night.
Well, we gotta say it, right?
Which was a 1965 book by, was it John Ball?
Yes.
And a 1967 film directed by Norman Jewison starring Sidney Poitier.
Yes.
Now, after last week's pod, when I said, hey, we should just, like, random point a finger at a map, let's do In the Heat of the Night. We had a real reason for doing this one. It's Black History Month.
Yeah.
So we were like, Mark let me know a few weeks back that In the Heat of the Night is based on a book because he was rewatching it, and I was like, oh, bet. That's our next episode then. But before we decided on it for the next episode, when did you first come to know In the Heat of the Night?
It was while we were living in this apartment.
So the last 11 years.
Yeah. It was when we were doing the Fathom events as our date nights. And this was, I believe, the February movie that year. Because we did January, which was, I believe, Treasure of the Sierra Madre, which is the first one.
The dream has no memory of this, but I believe you.
I just remember Treasure of the Sierra Madre was the first one. And I'm pretty sure it was In the Heat of the Night for Black History Month. And also, Martin Luther King's birthday had just passed, etc.
Which is why Black History Month is February.
Yes. So...
one of the reasons why.
Yeah. So... also because it's the shortest month.
Shh, you're saying the quiet part out loud. Shh.
So we went to see it, and I had no knowledge of it. I mostly knew who Sidney Poitier was, but I had no idea what it was about, and I had no idea it was based on a book until you told me. But I remember fucking loving it and thinking it was incredible, and finally having reference for the "They Call Me Mr. Tibbs" line. That was always on those posters that every fuckboy in college would buy from the poster thing that was just 100 greatest lines in movies. And it's like number 17 or something.
You know I've mentioned that I've had that poster numerous times, right?
I said nothing wrong.
Yep.
The only reason you weren't a fuckboy was a lack of confidence, my love.
No, the only reason I wasn't a fuckboy was a promise I made with God that I would remain a virgin until I got married. But the lack of confidence probably played a part as well.
Wee.
Off the fucking rails today. I have to edit this.
You sure do. Speaking of rails, you want to watch a trailer? Or do you want to talk about,
Wow, jumping the gun.
I am jumping the gun, I'm sorry. I'm not used to being the one that has to provide structure.
Oh, I'm making you take the reins.
Well, how did you... Obviously, I said my introduction to it. What was your introduction
So, the poster has been mentioned before. And yes, they call me Mr. Tibbs was on the poster. But it was those old AFI 100 years, 100 cheers, 10 heroes, those fucking TV specials. And I've seen the "they call me Mr. Tibbs" line before, completely out of context. And those shows did not reveal the context. They just assumed you knew, not recognizing that, 11-year-old me isn't watching movies from the 60s. But I think I first watched it probably in 2016 when I was going through the great movies. And when I saw it was doing Fathom, we were absolutely going to go see that. Because it's a stone cold classic. But yeah, I don't have any fun stories. Just my normal film nerd bullshit. But yeah.
I mean, there was the one night where we saw this was on TCM.
Oh my god, yeah. I was stoned scrolling through channels.
And they had this, and then immediately after it, they were double featuring it with The Defiant Ones, which is also Sidney Poitier.
A really good earlier Poitier.
And then after that was fucking 9 to 5, so we just stayed up till 2 a.m.
Which I had never seen 9 to 5, didn't know what it was about. I only knew the Dolly Parton song, and that movie's amazing.
Incredible. 10 out of 10.
What a ride to go on blind. What a night that was.
But yeah, we will actually be talking about the Defiant Ones very briefly later.
Yes. But before we get into the Defiant Ones, we should probably talk about In the Heat of the Night.
A little bit.
Before we do that, shall we watch a trailer?
On your feet, boy. I mean now.
Got a name, boy?
Virgil Tibbs.
Virgil. Where you come from?
There ain't no trains this time of morning.
I could have had you shot.
Skulls caved in. Could have been a hitchhiker. Okay, I got him.
Where's my husband?
I thought I told you to get the hell out of here.
You aren't taking me anywhere, you dig?
You gonna get yourself killed.
I'm a police officer.
Look, they pay you $162.39 a week just to look at bodies. Why can't you look at this one?
Why can't you look at it for yourself?
I do not want that Negro officer taken off this case.
I need a few things, such as ammonium hydrosulfide, benzidine, superoxide of hydrogen, copper powder, distilled water, calipers, and some toothpicks.
Why won't anybody here tell me what's happened to him?
Are you sure you're pregnant?
Yes, I am pregnant.
I can pull that fat cat down.
I'm afraid you're a little late, Virgil. We already got the guilty man.
May I examine this person?
Yeah, you can look at him. Come on, let him look.
He's left-handed, isn't he?
What's that make him?
Innocent.
I got the motive, which is money, and the body, which is dead.
You're holding the wrong man.
But don't you push me, boy!
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
What kind of people are you?
Look in her purse. She's got $100 to pay for an abortion.
In the heat of the night, seems like a cold sweat creeping across my brow. In the heat of the night.
In the Heat of the Night is free with ads on YouTube right now, so go watch it real quick. welcome back. If you didn't watch it, like I asked you to, you get a D in class. And In the Heat of the Night is the story of a murder in the small town of Sparta, Mississippi. And the first man accused and arrested for the murder is a black man who happens to be passing through on a train. He also happens to be a police officer from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and one of the finest homicide detectives they have. So he and Officer Gillespie try to solve this murder, with the major obstacle being the racist citizens of Sparta, Mississippi. And in the end, they find out that it was the guy at the cafe that murdered the rich guy for money, but he didn't mean to, and he did it to pay for an abortion for a girl, and he decided to pin it on another cop because the other cop was fancying the girl, and there's like a plot and stuff, but like what you remember from the movie is Virgil Tibbs and Gillespie and their relationships.
So something that is pretty different in the novel is that the novel's actually pretty evenly divided between Gillespie, Tibbs, and Sam Wood, the cop. The movie kind of combines Gillespie and Wood, because Gillespie doesn't have the arc in the novel that he does. That's Sam's.
Really?
Sam is the one who kind of is on Virgil's side.
Well, yeah, because he knows he's going to get accused for this.
Well, no, it's like, there's a lot of lines that are very... You know when you have the reaction where you giggle at something and you're like, oh, I shouldn't laugh at that? There's a lot of lines like that where it's basically, obviously, this was written in 1965. There is era-specific racism.
Woohoo! Our favorite kind of racism.
Or era-typical racism, I should say. And it actually opens describing the route that Sam is on when he discovers the body. And he's having a conversation with Ralph at the diner where he's talking about the reason that, and I'm going to use the actual word from the book. I'm not going to use the slur. I'm going to say Negro, because that's the word that Sam primarily uses. He never says the slur.
If you saw how wide my eyes just got.
Yeah. But they're having a discussion about why Negroes make such good fighters. And the conversation they have is about how Negroes don't experience pain the same way that white men do. Which is something that is called back later when Tibbs is in Sam's car and has just fought off two dudes. And he talks about how he knows some of the fighters from California, and the doctor, he talks about how one of the doctors jabbed his friend in the arm with a needle, and he was like, his friend was like, ow, and the doctor didn't realize that he could feel pain. Like, that was a pervasive myth.
Yeah.
Another change from page to screen was that Tibbs is actually from California.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Pasadena in the novel, which is interesting considering that, you know, we're recording this in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I'm from the Philadelphia area.
Yeah, I get the idea. I understand why you would switch it to Philadelphia or to an East Coast city, because it is very different. Like, having grown up roughly in that area, like, there is a different vibe than there would be for someone from out here. Do you have any speculations or reactions to that piece of information?
Sorry, I was busy typing into my computer. Like, that's definitely intentional. The North-South divide is part of it. Because history, as our generation learned it, is not as long as we make it out to be. And just the difference between being in the North and being in the South during the Civil War was only 150 years ago. Like, that's not that long. And those, especially back in the 60s when the Civil Rights Movement was happening, like, a lot of people, like, oh, my grandparents fought in the Civil War for the South. And I spent my whole life on Grandpappy's knee learning racist shit. And that's why that's still so, like, permeated in culture.
There's actually a TikTok creator right now that is doing a recipe series for Black History Month. And she's talking about how some of these recipes, it's about lost recipes of Black American cooking. And she's explaining, like, why some of these recipes came about and then also why they were changed. 9 times out of 10, the reason they came about was slavery, because so many of, or just Jim Crow laws, etc. in the South, was because a lot of them were foraged recipes. So, like, things like blackberries, fucking everywhere. So it was real easy to grab a shitload of berries and add them to a meal to supplement them or use them to make a dessert. Or the one I saw today was orange cream cake, etc. So it's just, what's that joke about how if you look at America and you look at a law, like 9 times out of 10, the reason the law exists is either racism or Ronald Reagan?
Yeah. Sometimes both. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the book actually focuses less on the racial element of the story than the film does. Is that right? Is that what you told me?
It's more, I wouldn't say it focuses less, but it kind of does it in a more subtle way. So in the movie, the victim of the murder is a rich northern gentleman who is going to be bringing a factory that will employ 1,000 people. And they suspect that he was killed for his progressive views because he intended to hire 500 white men and 500 Negroes. In the novel, it is a conductor by the name of Mantoli, who is building a band shell to attract tourists to the area. And his daughter actually plays a bigger role in the novel than the wife does in the movie. Still essentially the same role, but a bigger role.
Yeah.
She has basically a realization when she's talking to Sam Wood after he's been incarcerated for the crime of killing her father and also the seduction of 18-year-old Dolores Purdy, where she's like, I'm Italian. Some people don't consider that to be white enough. And she has that conversation with herself where she's like, I come down here and I mean, I kind of feel the same way about my race or I feel like there are some people that treat me the way that I am because I see the way that people treat Mr. Tibbs. And so it kind of does that thing where it shines a mirror by like slightly tilting. It shines a light by slightly tilting the mirror, you know?
Yeah.
So you can kind of touch that sore spot without actually touching it.
I still see that in the film with his wife. I can't remember the name of the character. Played by Lee Grant. And she watches how this room of cops treats Tibbs, who is clearly an intelligent police officer who knows what he's doing. And she could see that in the way that he treats her in their introduction scene. And at that moment, you realize she's the only woman in the room. And my thought was like, the only reason she's not getting mistreated is A, her husband just died, and B, because this black man is here to take it instead. And like, I get that sense from her too. Like, there's like a kindred spirit kind of thing.
And to an extent, also, they do treat her poorly. Because they kind of, it's not that they laugh at her, but it's kind of like, they're laughing amongst themselves, and she's like, my husband is dead. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, and they keep, like, thinking they figured it out, and it's very clear. Like, when they bring in, what's his name? The guy who steals the wallet, but...
I don't know if they changed the names for the movie, because I think they did kind of shuffle around some of the names.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
I was going to say, the name that I have in the novel is Harvey Oberst.
I think that's right. I think it's Harvey.
Okay. Because they kind of like smoosh some characters together, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
No,
like
you gotta streamline your movie.
Yeah, like Gillespie and Wood are kind of smooshed together, and
yeah. But when they arrest him, and she can tell he's telling the truth when he's like, honestly, I just took the wallet. It was just laying there, and she believes them, but she sees that the cops are gonna be like, we caught the murderer, and throw the book at him, and she's wealthy enough to know that he can't afford a lawyer, and he's probably gonna go to jail for the rest of his life.
Well, I'm pretty sure murder was capital punishment at that point, especially in Mississippi.
Especially in Mississippi, yeah.
So I have 2 versions of the book. I have the original 67. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's a first edition, but it's the original printing of it.
You have a signed first edition of the Odyssey?
It was the Iliad. Wasn't it the Iliad?
I don't remember. I don't even remember what shitty movie that was from.
And then I have the 50th anniversary edition. And in the 50th anniversary edition, there's a foreword by John Ridley, who is a director. Yes. Or sorry, he's not a director. He's a screenwriter. He wrote 12 Years a Slave.
Oh.
Which is also pod eligible.
Okay.
For the fun fact.
See you next year.
So, in his intro, in the foreword, he talks about how even Sam Wood, once he's accused of statutory rape, essentially. Because it's actually like a little wrinkle that they lie and say that Dolores is 16, but she's actually 18. And the reason they lied and said she's 16 is because essentially she's too stupid for school and they don't want her to get made fun of. So they claim she's younger than she is. Her, and I say they, it's her and her father and her mother.
It's her brother in the film.
Yeah. So the quote he uses is, Tibbs also has enough razzle-dazzle in his carpet bag to prove that his ersatz partner Wood is the wrong man in question, once Wood stands accused of murder, robbery, and at best the statutory rape of a girl he believed to be a minor. Even a white Southern cop could hardly hope to escape white Southern justice under such dire circumstances.
Oh, him gonna get lynched?
Exactly. That line is something that I wanted to keep in mind while I was reading, was that, like, there is a very real chance at any moment any of these characters can be attacked by anyone else, even Chief Gillespie, because he frequently talks about how his position in this town is very tenuous, because essentially the only reason he has this job is because he wasn't qualified for it, and they hired him because they're paying less than what anyone who deserves it, or anyone who deserves the title, would actually be. So it's essentially an early example of just being underpaid but getting the title on your resume.
Yep. Assistant to the regional manager?
Exactly. And he gets a threatening letter at one point, and that's the same time that Tibbs gets attacked, but in the movie it's not a lynch mob. The way that it is in the book, it's not a lynch mob. The way that it is in the movie, it's two dudes who come out to attack him with, like, a tire iron, and he uses judo to beat them. And there's actually, like, a fun little exchange that he and Sam have afterwards, where Sam is, like, complimenting his fighting skills, and they go into a discussion of, like, judo and karate and aikido, and Tibbs is like, yeah, I learned how to fight from a man who wasn't white either.
That's a good line. I like how the fighting in the movie is just, like, really, like, truthful. He just grabs a pipe and hopes for the best until Gillespie shows up.
Yep. I also like how chill Gillespie is in that scene.
Yeah.
He just waltzes in and watches him for a minute.
He's like, let me see how he does. Alright, I'll stop it now. He's not going to do well. So you asked me earlier, and I kind of danced around the answer, why I think some of these changes were made. And I think in order to talk about that, we have to talk about the people who made the movie. Specifically, the director, Norman Jewison. I believe we talked about him on the podcast in the past.
I believe you are correct.
Let me try and figure out which one. Because of me being me, and this last week, I have not done my normal level of research. I have done some research. Rather, I can't remember what I was saying.
You've done some research?
I've done no real research, but I did watch everything on the Criterion disc for this movie. No, I don't think we covered him before.
Oh.
Nope. Don't look like it. Anyway. But yeah, we gotta talk about Norman Jewison. He was the director of this, and when he read the screenplay, written by Sterling Silliphant, and then went and read the book. And then he went to Sterling and said, I love it, don't change a word. And then proceeded to change most of the words of the screenplay.
Fucking directors, man.
But the kind of guy he was, the kind of artist he was at this time, this is right after the House Un-American committees. Like, people were just coming off the blacklist now. Lee Grant being one of them. This was the heat of the civil rights movement, and Norman Jewison was a big part of that. As, like, using his, position in society as a white filmmaker to, I think he walked in Selma with Martin Luther King and Sidney and Hal Ashby, who edited this. Like, the group of artists that made this, including Quincy Jones in one of the first films he scored, all of these people were integral to that movement. Poitier in his own way, which we'll talk about a little bit more in depth later. But the way that Jewison described how he makes movies, he never considered himself political. He just imagined the way the world should be and made art that reflected that. So what he saw in this novel and in the screenplay was this element of an intelligent like black police officer going into a town full of racists and showing them how wrong they are. And that's why I think this is a good Olympics movie, because Jesse Owens was so dominant at the Berlin Games that Hitler's chief propagandist felt the need to shoot him like a god in the Olympic film she made. Riefenstahl? Is that her name?
Leni Riefenstahl.
Leni Riefenstahl, thank you. I could not find the name.
If you talk to her, she says she's not a propagandist at all.
Yeah, everyone's a propagandist. Everyone who makes art is a propagandist. I'm not going to deny that half of this podcast is an anti-capitalist propaganda. Please throw a couple dollars our way, ko-fi.com/soonmajorpod. I can fight against it, but I still got to live in it. But like, it's that kind of mentality went into making this movie that caused some of the changes. Like the one, Pasadena to Philadelphia, why? The reason is one line of the script. And it's when he says, where do you make this kind of money? He says, Philadelphia. And Gillespie replies, Mississippi? 3 years prior, in Philadelphia, Mississippi, was a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, big in the news.
Prominent?
Like, yeah, a prominent killing of, I got their names here. I don't know this one, because, you know, our schools are terrible.
Well, they also didn't talk about Black Wall Street.
Yeah. James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner. Chaney was black, Goodman and Schwerner were Jewish. And they were killed in Philadelphia, Mississippi. So the reason to change where the character is from was to remind the audience of the kind of racism we're dealing with here. And every like little aspect of like the changes to characters and what's cut and what's not cut. I believe they took the Italian element out of it because they wanted to have at least one white person who's not completely racist to her gills. There's, I would say, 2 in the movie.
So,
because I don't think Gillespie's racist. Well, maliciously racist.
So, something that's important is, you know how in Pennsylvania, you've got Eastern Pennsylvania and Western Pennsylvania, and they have totally different cultures?
Yeah.
That's something that's repeated all across the U.S. Like, the culture of California is totally different from the culture of Arizona, totally different from the culture of Oklahoma, etc., etc. But you still get lumped together with the ones that you're most similar to.
Yeah.
Something that they keep talking about, which I forgot to mention earlier, Gillespie's Texan.
Interesting.
And that is part of the reason that these people hate him so much. Because he's an outsider. And even though he shares most of their same beliefs, he's still an outsider. And he personally thinks that he's better than them because he's from Texas. And so you still have this internal grading of the culture clash that's happening between this guy that's supposed to represent them and themselves. And that's partly why Tibbs stays, because they threaten him, and Gillespie goes, the fuck do you think you are to threaten me? I'm gonna keep this black guy around as long as I want to. Fuck you. It's that fucking, what do they call it in ADHD? Pathologic demand avoidance?
Yeah.
It's, you tell me to do something, I'm not gonna do it just because you told me to do it.
Yep. Which is why I still haven't seen Amelie.
Because of Mark?
Because Mark keeps telling me to watch it. Yeah, I think it was smart of the filmmakers to clean that up. Not that that there's anything wrong with that kind of storytelling, because I like that a lot. Because when you're reading that, it really helps like you expose yourself to the fact that this prejudice is everywhere.
It's fleshed out a lot more on the page.
Yeah, exactly. But in a film,
it's easier to flesh it out on the page.
In a film, when you have 110 minutes to tell a story, and you're doing it in the social context they were doing this in. Like, this is when, like, riots started happening. It was right before Martin Luther King was shot.
And Malcolm X.
Thank you. So, like, tensions are rising, and trying to take the focus away from the black character and putting it on an Italian for sympathy and then a Texan for sympathy was not going to fly with the black audience. And I think Jewison knew that and tried to keep that conflict as simple and straightforward and as in the forefront as it is. And that's kind of what really makes the movie cook, too.
There's another book that I picked up called The Essentials, 52 Must-See Movies and Why They Matter from TCM. Of course, In the Heat of the Night is in here, and there's a quote from Rob Reiner. And we won't read the whole quote yet, because it will be more relevant when we get to Sidney Poitier. But he's talking about the movie And he says, when they came to see this movie, meaning In the Heat of the Night, they saw a tough, intense film that went straight to the core of racism. Which I think is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It kind of peeled away the layers and went directly at the heart of the problem.
Yeah, which is, honestly, lack of knowledge. So much of racism is just baked into falsehoods, mistruths, lies, outright lies, misunderstandings. That's at the core of bigotry. At least that's how I believe it.
So,
said as a straight-passing white man.
In the 65 version, on page 93, Sam and Tibbs are in his police cruiser, and this is when they're doing I believe this is during the route when he's going around with him. And so they have this conversation. How did you learn your trade, Virgil? He asked. Some of the best training in the world in 10 years experience. Everybody who joins the Pasadena force starts out by going to school. It's amazing how much they teach you in a comparatively short time. Sam thought carefully for a minute before he asked his next question. Virgil, I'm going to ask you something you aren't going to like, but I want to know. How did they happen to take you? No, that isn't what I mean. I want to ask you point blank how come a colored man got all those advantages. Now if you want to get mad, go ahead. Tibbs countered with a question of his own. You've always lived in the South, haven't you? I've never been further than Atlanta, Sam acknowledged. Then it may be hard for you to believe, but there are places in this country where a colored man, to use your words for it, is simply a human being like everybody else. Not everybody feels that way, but enough do so that at home I can go weeks at a time without anybody reminding me I'm a Negro. Here I can't go 15 minutes. If you went somewhere where people despised you because of your Southern accent, and all you were doing was speaking naturally in the best way that you could, you might have a very slight idea of what it is to be constantly cursed for something that isn't your fault and shouldn't make any difference anyhow. Sam shook his head. Some guys down here would kill you for saying a thing like that, he cautioned. You made my point, Tibbs replied.
A sentiment which Poitier very elegantly expressed in 4 words. What do they call you up there in Philadelphia? They call me Mr. Tibbs. I'm just a guy. And that's actually like one of the better scenes with Rod Steiger in the movie. Right after the Endicott slap. Which is... So, Ray Charles. I gotta talk about the Endicott slap before I go on. Ray Charles sings In the Heat of the Night on the film. Brought in by Quincy Jones, who did the score. Groundbreaking score for many reasons. I can't remember who, but someone told Norman to show Ray Charles the movie before he records the song. And Norman said, what? But, you know, they sit down in a private screening room and Norman describes the action on screen while nobody's talking. Which is actually a feature that's on many DVDs and Blu-rays now, which is cool as fuck. But they get to the Endicott slap. And Ray hears slap, slap. And goes, did he hit him back? And Norman goes, yeah. And then Ray Charles starts bouncing in his seat and swaying a little bit. He's like, yeah. I can't remember the name. He had a phrase that he would say when, like, that nobody understood what it meant, but it just meant, like, groovy, basically. It was, like, green money or something like that. And he said his, like,
that's a pimp groove butter.
Yeah, that's a pimp groove butter. And then started swaying in his fucking screening room. And I'm like, that's the coolest fucking shit. Like, that's how you know you made something good, when Ray Charles is like, hell yeah.
So, something that messed me up while I was reading the novel...
but my point, sorry.
Okay.
After that scene, when Tibbs is, like, convinced it's Endicott, and he's like, I'm gonna bring that fat cat down, and Gillespie, Rod Steiger, just laughs and goes, you're just like us. Because Jewison said that the real war is the class war. Okay, your point?
So, Endicott's actually a good guy.
What?
In the novel, Endicott is the one who champions for Tibbs to stay in town. Because he's on the board, committee, whatever, that essentially controls the town. And he's the one that makes the request that's like, no, this man stays. And basically, the mayor and... This book feels a lot like Jaws, in that there's a lot of political machinations going on behind the scenes that you don't see in the movie. And
they're in the movie, but they're not, like, important to the movie.
Exactly. So, there's a call that Schubert, the mayor, has with Gillespie, where he's basically like, hey, Endicott wants you to keep this black guy around. Give him enough rope to hang himself. you have a fall guy? Yes, I know. I said that specifically because it's used in the novel. He's like, you have a fall guy who, if he fails to solve the murder, you can pin all the blame on him. And if he does successfully solve the murder, you come out because you get all the credit. You don't lose in this scenario.
Everybody wins, I think is how he finishes that in the film.
Yeah. And so I got distracted by the Jaws machinations. Hang on. I'm getting back there.
Endicott's a good guy?
Yeah. So Endicott is actually like the reasonable one here. I get why they changed it for the movie, because they cut out so much of the complexity with the background shit happening in the town.
Yeah.
That it's easy to make the rich white guy with the plantation the bad guy. And I don't think that's a bad decision. The thing about Tibbs in the novel, and it's something that I'm going to go ahead and quote from the introduction by Ridley again. As Tibbs leaves Wells, he remains in all ways superior, in some ways too superior. Monumental as he is as a character, Virgil Tibbs is also at times dangerously close to being magical, quote, a liberal version of a black man so utterly flawless as to be equally other than something human. He speaks just so and looks refined. Other than his flesh, his characteristics are distinctly Anglo. He is without much history and has no family or familiars to speak of. He is sexless, non-violent, prone to forgiveness, and by virtue of his virtue has the capacity to alter the flow of racial animosity with his mere presence. Virgil Tibbs is at times a black man more carefully constructed than fully realized, an approximation of life designed to thwart a common enemy, but to be of no threat to its originator. In 1965, Tibbs gave readers an idealized view of progress. He was an example that rather than being militant, blacks could and should be able to work for change within the system, racist as that system was.
So we're going to talk about Poitier now?
Yeah, I think we need to talk about Poitier.
So, like, this is the thing with him. He was a very well-spoken man. Like, and not that his vocabulary was good. He knew good words. I know good words. I speak good words good. It's not like, but it was like the way he spoke, the cadence and tone with which he spoke, and it's because he's from
the West Indies.
The West Indies, yeah. He's from the Caribbean, and I believe he learned how to speak by listening to the PA announcer at Central Station, I think. Did I read that, or
I have no idea.
I might be making that up. I can't remember the source of that information. But he was handsome and he had this great voice, and he wasn't like the average black stereotype character in Hollywood was at the time. So he became a leading man. And he would only do movies that he believed in. So he kind of was like, or at least he felt politically like that version of Tibbs that you described. That's what he believed himself. He was very work within the system, and I believe in peace and unity, and that's possible as, you know, the world is crumbling around. And then, like we said, shortly after this comes out, King gets shot. But he came up and did movies like this, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which is about interracial romance, and he did those in the same year and did not get nominated for an Oscar. Rod Steiger won an Oscar for this. He didn't even get nominated for either, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, The Defiant Ones is, if you're not familiar with it, is a story about a white prisoner and a black prisoner that are on a chain gang together, and they escape, and they're still handcuffed together. So they essentially have to work together, and the white guy is super racist, but over the course of the movie, he develops a friendship with the Sidney Poitier character, to the extent that eventually they are separated, like they're disconnected, and Sidney Poitier's character has a chance to escape and be free, and instead jumps off of the train to join his white brethren, and they both end up dying. Sidney Poitier does not die by the end of the movie, but you know those police are going to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a funny anecdote in one of the features that you watched yesterday. I don't even know who was telling the story, but they said that they went to see Defiant Ones with...
Oh, yeah, they saw it in a white with a white audience and with a black audience, and the black audience just mocked him when he jumped off the train.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, having those points of view, like, I think that's an admirable viewpoint on the world, especially in that time. I understand why many people grew jaded with that idea as time went on and nothing changed. But that's who he was, and those are the roles he was cast in. And he kind of became, like, what did they call him, the Prince or something? There was a nickname for him, I can't remember it. But he basically had this horrible weight he had to carry through his career of being the one black leading man in Hollywood. And how he basically can't fuck up in life because he's Sidney Poitier.
Model minority?
Sure. Yeah. That's not what I was thinking of, but that fits. That fits what he, like, his position in society at the time. And it was a great feature on the Criterion DVD, basically about his career through this time and how he was a response to racist stereotypes in Hollywood, and the response to Poitier was Shaft, and this just no more peace, just violent retribution for all the wrongdoings, and black characters, indulging in that.
So, I don't know how true this is because I inherently distrust the source, but Walter Mirisch, the producer, wrote an autobiography, and he talks about when In the Heat of the Night was shopped to him, he immediately thought of Sidney Poitier as the leading man because he had been looking for an opportunity to work with him since he had seen him in Porgy and Bess.
I believe Jewison tells that story on either the commentary track or one of the interviews.
Okay.
I recall hearing that in the last couple of days.
Yeah, because basically Mirisch wanted to work with Poitier but could not make it happen until In the Heat of the Night.
Yeah. But I mean, the way that you described Virgil Tibbs, you think Ball was thinking of Poitier?
He may have been.
Like, it's that dude. If he writes like a lot of writers do for the future movie rights, like, I wrote this character with you in mind.
So, funny you should bring that up. He actually did not. He was living in... Or no, I'm sorry, I'm confusing him with the first person, or the person who kind of made black detectives more prominent. So, fun fact, film noir came from something in France that I can't remember the French term for it, but it was basically...
Was it noir?
It was the Black magazine. And it wasn't black as in African American or African. It was black as in the style was dark and gritty. And that's how the other gentleman, who I believe his name was Chester Himes, created his detective stories. And he started writing them to sort of push to get his name out there and start making enough money to live. But he was living in France at the time. And his story, his first black detective story, got published in America first. And so that was kind of like the first big on the scene black detective where the main character of a story was a black detective or two black cops doing their job. Mm-hmm. They, of course, were set in Harlem. So I wonder if John Ball, because I couldn't find a lot of information about why he started writing this novel, he sort of saw those detective stories and pushed back against them. Because he actually had experience on the LAPD. He...
Kind of like your favorite Roderick Thorpe.
Yeah, unfortunately, very similar. Much more enjoyable books to read.
The Detective?
No. I'm gonna get a copy of it and hit you with it.
No, I'll die.
Yeah, looking at the quick... Going back to my favorite little foreword here. The author grew up in Milwaukee. He went on to work part-time as an LA County Sheriff's deputy. And then he actually got the Edgar Award for Best First Novel. So this was his first novel.
No shit.
Yeah. And of course, it is the original Virgil Tibbs novel. There are several more and several movies.
Yeah, I know They Call Me Mr. Tibbs is a movie, and then there was a TV show as well.
Yeah, long-running TV show.
Yeah.
I believe there are 6 sequels and 3 movies.
3 movies sounds right.
Yeah. I know the numbers are 6 and 3, I just don't remember which is which. I believe there's 6 sequels.
That sounds right.
Sidney Poitier.
Yeah, I didn't have much more to say about him. I just wanted to
We'll hit the rest of that Rob Reiner.
Yeah, do that.
I'm not sure that people today really understand how important Sidney Poitier was to our culture. He was like the Jackie Robinson of the movies. He was the first black leading man with genuine star power. The first African American whose name on the marquee brought people to the theater.
Yeah.
And that was also the reason that Mirisch wanted Poitier, because he knew this was a risky movie. they were honestly not sure this movie was going to open in the South at all.
Yeah. It was, for what it was, super low budget. They shot on
2.09 million. He was very specific about it.
They shot on location to save money. And the reason it was so low budget was because they weren't quite sure how they'd get the money back. Considering it might not open in the South, they don't know what the audiences are going to be like in the North and in like California and whatnot. So they shot on location in Sparta, Illinois. That's why they changed the name to Sparta. Because it was easier than, painting over the water tower in town.
Yeah.
Sparta, Illinois, which I think they described as the South of Illinois.
Sure.
And they shot 3 or 4 days in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And that was to get the cotton farm.
Because Sidney Poitier refused to shoot south of the Mason-Dixon line. He
yes.
did not want to go into the South at all.
And Jewison talked him into it over time. Because they needed to get that shot of him in the car in the suit with people picking cotton in the background.
Yep.
And it's a powerful fucking shot. And I don't know if it was worth one of the things that happened. So when they were in Tennessee, the only place they could stay that would allow Sidney to also stay there was a Holiday Inn. And of course, when the movies come to town, weirdos come out, right? I can't remember who said it, but somebody said, women who are too dumb to know that they're attractive and will fall prey to the likes of men in Hollywood. Like, young girls, not young, like, underage, but, young adult women would hang around and men would bring them home and whatnot. And there was a night where Norman got a call that was, hey, there's a guy at the hotel knocking on doors. He says he's looking for his wife, and he has a shotgun. You better make sure Sidney's alone.
Oh, no.
And there's like 2 versions of the story I heard. One was from Norman, and then one was from Steiger. And Steiger and Sidney had neighboring suites with the door in between. And the way Steiger tells it is the guy came to his door, and Steiger answers the door naked, half asleep. And the dude looks around, and then he goes into the room with Sidney first. He's like, I prayed that that he was in there alone, and he lets Sidney know what's going on, and the guy comes in, and then he sees Sidney Poitier and cries and apologizes, and he was probably drunk and just losing his mind. The way Norman says it is Sidney replied to him with, if anyone opens that door, I'm going to blow them away, because he was packing.
Of course he was! He was a black man in the South!
And I don't care which version of that story is true. That is a fun tale from the production of this. But, like, straight up, the kind of racism that still existed in that part, and they were in this was when Holiday Inn was fancy. They were in, like, a nice hotel, and there's still the risk of, like, this drunk white man with a shotgun, if he sees something rustle in the bed behind Sidney Poitier, he's going to be shot.
I mean, you were saying the car chase scene, where Sidney is getting, like, pushed off the road that leads into that fight scene with...
Yeah, in the train yard.
Yeah. That was based on an actual, like, not a single event, but multiple events that I believe both Sidney and Jewison had experienced.
Yeah. The end of that fight, they didn't know... Jewison didn't know how to finish the choreography, so he just asked Sidney, like, what would you do? And he was like, well, I'd probably grab something long and swing it at them until either they left or I got tired. And that's what they shot. And it's something that Norman wanted in the film was truth. He wanted everything to feel real. And the famous slap reply, the Endicott slap. Sidney was asked, what would you do in that situation? And he's like, this isn't me speaking as a police officer or as myself. This is me speaking as a man. I'd hit him back. And then the Rod Steiger replied to that, like, what are you going to do? And he says, I don't know. Steiger was like, I wouldn't know what to do. I don't know is a valid answer to that question. And that's why that scene resonates so well.
So going back to...
Also, Endicott, like, trying not to cry at the end makes me laugh every time.
Going back to the 52 must-see movies. Endicott asks Gillespie what he's going to do about what he just witnessed, and Gillespie replies, I don't know. Steiger tried that line, quote, 20 different ways, unable to find the proper inflection. Finally, Jewison told him that Gillespie says it because he's at a crossroads. Ah, a crossroads, Steiger replied, and he nailed it on the next take.
Yeah, and it reads so well because there was a time when he would have bare minimum arrested Tibbs.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him recognize that I've changed. Something has changed within me.
Something is not the same?
No. And his performance is so fucking good. He was super method, but not like the shitty kind of method that guys are now, but he was like the full, like he read all of Stanislavski's books and not just the first one. And so like what he would use in scenes is the gum. Notice he's always chewing gum. They wanted to put him in a cigar or a pipe or something like that, and he said no. And I think someone suggested gum. I think Jewison suggested gum, and Steiger said no to that too because it was cliched. But he tried it for a scene, and then he started having fun with it. So if you watch him when he's thinking a little hard, he'll like if he's angry, he'll chew faster. He'll gum something over and then stop chewing when he's got something important to say. When he's made a revolution, and like that's one of those beats.
Supposedly, he went through 263 packs for the movie.
I'm not surprised. I can't chew a piece of gum for more than an hour.
So, something that I find interesting, and you see it in the novel as well, and you do also see it in the movie. Sometimes Tibbs, because he's the smartest person in the room, says something, like he speaks truth to power, and he's doing it because he knows he's the smartest person in the room, but he does it in such a way that the other people are like, yeah, I wanted to say that to that guy, because he's being an asshole. Like, there's a moment where Gillespie enjoys that. There's a lot of moments where Sam enjoys that, because there's kind of a power struggle between Sam and Gillespie in the novel, because Sam is the guy who's like, he's been here, he's been on the force for a long time, and like, he's from this area, he should be the one in that seat, but Gillespie came in, and instead Gillespie is like, big and tough and forceful, and he gets everything he wants done by kind of being a dick about it and just yelling. Like there's a whole thing where he talks about how he's always been bigger than everyone else around him. Like he's supposed to be 6'2", and so he can always just kind of force the issue and get his way. And there's a lot of moments where Sam enjoys the fact that Tibbs makes Gillespie uncomfortable and keeps him off his even keel. Mm-hmm. And so it's one of those things where the change kind of comes about because the people involved enjoy watching someone who has objectively more to lose than them still basically tell the people who seem more powerful than them to fuck off.
Yeah.
And that's how they grow to respect him, because it takes balls to be like, hey, I know legally you could beat the shit out of me right now, but you're fucking wrong.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that energy that Tibbs brings into the scene makes all of them shift.
Like, I think the way the movie plays that, it's a little bit more subtle, but like the first thing Tibbs does to Gillespie is check his ego. He sits there and he answers the questions, and when he finally gets a chance to say, I'm a police officer, like you can see Gillespie shit his pants, right?
Yes.
And I also love his delivery after, like, when he shows Sam, like, the badge. He's like, yeah! Oh, yeah! The way he says that, as Sam is realizing the fuck up he made in arresting a cop. But also, like, part of the, like, thesis of the movie to me is, like, Gillespie and Tibbs are recognizing each other's humanity. First thing Tibbs does is check Gillespie's ego, and Gillespie spends the rest of the movie finding ways to check Tibbs' ego. Because he can see when Tibbs is getting, like, a little overconfident in some ideas, like, specifically after the Endicott slap.
Well, I feel like it's even simpler than that. It's, hey, I get that you're focused on the case, but your car is in the fucking street and you just escaped a lynch mob. Like, anyone could come. You do not recognize the danger that you're in, and I do. Yeah,
and it's such a fun dynamic to watch on screen. The way that they get at each other. Because
they are both... Obviously, Tibbs is much more intelligent, but they are both smart and cunning in their own ways.
Yeah, and Gillespie has his moments. He's finally pushed to try. Because, like, I feel like he's... Like, at the start of the movie, he's just lazy and ready to bring in whoever for this crime because he's got to solve this murder.
Yeah.
And now it's, like... By the end of it, he's like, oh... I have to look at the details. I have to examine everything. I can't just assume things. I have to work the problem and figure it out.
There's a scene when he gets the report that Tibbs made of the body where he gets angry because the report is so good and so detailed that a black man had no right to write this. It's so good and it's so smart. This shouldn't be allowed because it's his inferiority rearing its ugly head.
Yeah, it's that inferiority complex that a lot of white supremacists have. Like,
I don't care if I suffer as long as you suffer more.
Yeah.
Person I think is lesser than me.
Yeah, stupid people. I have no problem saying out loud into a microphone for all to hear that racists are stupid, and that's what makes them racist. But, yeah, but like, there's still that element in him that he still wants to be... He wants to get it right. He wants to solve the problem. And when he recognizes that Tibbs is the same way, and then they start to check each other's ego, is when they, solve the crime. And they have that wonderful moment where they're drinking, and he realizes the first man he's ever let into his home is Virgil Tibbs.
Yeah, that scene is more Sam in the police car, because Tibbs just naturally sits in the front seat with him, and he's weird about it at first, and then he chills out. And he also calls him Sam. And Sam notices and is weird about it. And then later, it just, it goes over his head. And he realizes, oh my god, I have a partner for the first time since I've been on this force. I'm not alone. And this guy can handle himself. It's really sweet.
I like that. It's almost like they were onto something.
Yeah. It's almost like there's a whole genre of film about two cops that maybe don't see eye to eye.
Oh, I meant, get to know people who, are a different skin color from you, and you'll hate them less because you'll recognize their humanity. But, yeah, also buddy cop genre is a great genre of film.
So, there is actually... There's kind of a major point of the plot that we haven't talked about, and I really want to.
We're talking about the abortion?
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I didn't think it was that important.
Well, it's important
it is.
in that it's the crux. It's why everything happens.
Money.
Yeah. So, the scene with the abortionist is not in the novel at all. There is one throwaway line where after they get the confession from Ralph, Tibbs is like, did he implicate the abortionist? I prefer the movie actually showing, because that's the first time you see Tibbs in his blackness.
Oh, yeah. When he, for lack of a better term, starts talking jive with her?
Yes, because there's more... He relies on the black community more in the novel, because the mechanic is a repeat character.
I fucking love his scene. There was more of that in the film, but it got cut for pace.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they shot scenes,
scene?
or I don't know if they shot anything, but there were scenes that they cut.
Okay. Because
involving Jess.
There's a scene where basically Jess is like, please eat dinner. My 13-year-old son, is desperate to meet you. And... So they have dinner, and the kid is, described as basically, wiggling in his chair and just, stealing glances at Tibbs, and finally gets up the courage to ask him a question, and Tibbs talks to him, and the kid, freaks out. And it's really sweet. And then you also have, he goes to the Reverend and finds the murder weapon by employing the Reverend. Basically, the Reverend uses the youth group of the church to collect wood from the site of the music hall, and he inspects the wood as it comes through and finds the murder weapon that way. So the fact that he taps the black community in that area...
Oh, that's such a good scene.
Right?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where even reading it...
How many crimes did I solve cleaning up places when I worked in a youth group? Actually, we burned down a barn one time. I'm pretty sure we, got rid of evidence of a murder. That barn was fucked up. Also, 80-foot flames, the fire department got called. Oops.
So... He kind of he uses the black community in that way in the novel. But I want to talk about the interrogation scene. I don't want to call it interrogation. It's more like the confession scene. Because it reminded me of something and I couldn't quite put my finger on it until I realized the interrogation of Dolores Purdy really reminded me of the trial scene in To Kill a Mockingbird with, oh my god, what was her fucking name?
I can't remember.
The white woman.
Yeah.
Who gets Tom killed. It's almost equal and opposite because they're the same level of white trash in both novels, but the policeman here is treating Dolores as the level of white trash that she is. He's not being kind to her.
Yeah, he's not taking her word as gospel just because she's white.
Yeah. In the novel, they actually... Tibbs isn't present for the interrogation. He actually gets up and leaves the room when her dad pitches a fit. but he has Gillespie flip on the intercom so he can listen from the front room. Later, he goes to the Purdy house, and he basically coerces them. It's like all cops are bastards, right? He essentially says that in order to prove that she's pregnant, they're gonna have to undergo a medical exam. And the dad just keeps repeating, ain't nobody gonna see her secrets. Meaning, her lady bits.
Her vagina.
Yeah. And at some point, she gets an abortion, and then they come into the station to retract her statement and her charges against Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Because they realize Sam could sue. Essentially, Tibbs implies that Sam could sue the shit out of them for defamation and, like, false shit. And so they say that she was sleeping and she saw the police car and just dreamed it happened, but she's not pregnant.
Jesus.
And that scene it's like a mirror, a dark mirror of the trial scene in To Kill a Mockingbird.
So it's funny you mentioned that, because I'm looking back at my notes, and I have Purdy's fake testimony, kind of like the girls in To Kill a Mockingbird. Tibbs at the autopsy is like Starling at the autopsy in Silence of the Lambs, where she's the outcast.
Yeah. The outcast, but who's still kind of running the show.
The main detective character meeting an old man in a greenhouse full of orchids, like The Big Sleep.
We're just pulling from all of our previous things.
And Dolores describes fucking in a cemetery like Mary Shelley did.
Oh yeah, she does.
Yeah.
That's not in the novel at all. It's much more simple.
Yeah, this movie's pulling from a lot of former episodes.
It sure is.
Or rather, previous episodes are pulling from this, because Silence of the Lambs was definitely after.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Big Sleep was before.
Mockingbird would have been before.
Would have been before. A couple years before.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good observation you've made.
Thank you.
I'm very proud.
I used my think brain.
Are there any more observations or think brains you'd like to use?
No, I think that's about... I think we touched on about all that...
I don't really have much else either.
I mean, we talked about... Should we talk about Warren Oates at all, Sam Wood?
Should we?
I mean, is there anything that
I got nothing on Warren Oates. The, apparently there were... So, the San Francisco premiere, the grand premiere, the scene where Gillespie first realizes he arrested a cop, the crowd laughed, and Jewison thought they were laughing at the movie. But they were laughing at the situation that he had gotten himself into. And it's something I like to say about this movie is that, yeah, it's a 60s movie about racism. Weirdly funny.
There are so many funny bits in this movie.
Yeah.
As soon as stuff starts to get too heavy, all of a sudden there's a funny bit.
Yeah. And a lot of it's situational. It's not like setups and punchlines, but like I said, like when his face drops when he hears I'm a police officer, and you watch Rod Steiger rethink every word of the conversation he just had and understand the implications of what has happened. It is very funny.
Yes.
I actually didn't catch this. It's probably the 6th, 7th time I've seen this movie. But the second time I watched it for this, when Sam shows up at the depot to arrest Tibbs, the first thing Tibbs does is reach towards his jacket, where his badge is. And that's when the gun comes out and the hands go up. Because Sam thinks he's reaching for a weapon. But he also never gives him a chance to say anything. Like, my badge is in my jacket. I am a police officer.
Yep.
But I think part of that's also Tibbs' ego. Of like, oh, I'm going to let them fucking pay for this. As long as, if I get out of this alive, they're fucked.
That's actually something that is in the novel. Is Tibbs is extremely obedient the whole time. Because he knows where he is. He knows he's going to get shot. And they realize once he has the reveal that I'm a police officer, Sam realizes, son of a bitch, I never asked him any questions. I just arrested him.
Yeah.
Like, I just detained him and dragged him into my fucking police car.
Yep.
And Sam
racially profiled a motherfucker.
And Sam and Gillespie basically have that, like, panicked eye conversation. Oh, Gillespie rips into him for that, too. He's like, you didn't ask him any questions? You just put him in the car?
I love that scene in the movie.
And then later, Tibbs actually covers Sam's ass because he's relating the story of like how he got involved to the Endicotts and Mentoli, the daughter. And Sam was like, yeah, it was actually my mistake. I saw him at the train depot and I brought him in. And Tibbs is like, yes, he was very diligent in making sure a murder suspect didn't get away. Just smoothing it over for Sam.
Which makes you wonder, like, what has Tibbs done in Pasadena or in Philadelphia of a similar fashion? Like, has he been on the other side of that before? Like, because he's, also standing on that side of the thin blue line. I hate to say it, ACAB includes Virgil Tibbs.
Yeah.
But briefly touching back on the Sidney Poitier discussion, something I love so much about this character that you don't get in his character in, like, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, is that he has flaws. He reacts to violence with violence. He doesn't turn the other cheek like Jesus would have. He slaps back. And he has this ego, and he has this, like, overinflated self-confidence, this I'm better than you. There's a line, I think it's in the trailer, when Lee Grant says, "What is wrong with you people?" And it's very easy to hear that as, what is wrong with you white people? This black man is trying to help. He's smarter than you, listen to him. But every time I watch it, I read that as he's included in that. Because what she just sees is him withholding evidence that could lead to solving this murder of her husband. You people is everyone in the room.
Mm-hmm.
All the deputies are laughing. Gillespie's refusing to solve the case, and Tibbs is refusing to help. And she just wants her husband's killer found. It's such a, like, lovely little touch that they put in this film. So do you recommend the book?
Yeah. I mean, it's not something I would reach for, but it's in the same vein of To Kill a Mockingbird, in the sense of, like, it's a little bit legal procedural, a little bit charming southern town hides a horrible secret. If you like noir, you'll enjoy it, because it's very noir, and it's blessedly short. The 50th anniversary edition is 158 pages, and the original is 184. Easy to read. There are some funny moments, but honestly, having both read it and seen the movie, I think the movie's better. But I will turn it over to you. What do you think?
It's good. It's a very good movie. It's paced super well. Once it starts going, it goes. There's a reason it was nominated for like 6 or 7 Oscars and won all but one, and it's because it was an incredible movie. Best Adapted Screenplay, Rod Steiger Best Actor, Hal Ashby Best Editing. It won Best Picture, and Mike Nichols won Best Director. And Norman Jewison will not stop reminding people of that. 3 different interviews on that Criterion disc, he mentions like that and the story of how he would like sing a beat while they were doing that long focus pull on the running across the bridge, that long zoom pull, because he wanted it to match the beat. I think even Quincy Jones told that story in his little interview.
What was his quote on it's fine if you don't win. Like, nobody remembers.
He was basically saying that, like, for people in the industry, the important night is the nominations dinner. And it's because to get nominated, you have to be nominated by people in that field. So directors nominate directors, editors nominate editors. So just being recognized by your peers for the work you did. And it's just like, you go to a dinner and everyone's like, hey, you did a good one this year. And that's what's important to him. Except, he's still kind of bitter that he didn't win Best Director. Which, I mean, that movie was up against The Graduate and Bonnie and Clyde and Look Who's Coming to Dinner, or Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and, like, Cool Hand Luke, and, like, all these bangers.
67 is a watershed year.
It's a good year for film. And this is, I mean, it was voted by the Academy one of the film's best. Or one of the year's best. The year's best. It was voted Best Picture by the Academy. It's an incredible movie, funny at times, real hopeful in the final moment with Tibbs and Gillespie. Stellar performances from both leads. The fucking supporting cast is just a bunch of weird looking dudes. The dude who plays Ralph is like such a cartoon character. Like, he looks like he grows up to be Courage the Cowardly Dog's owner. You know what I mean?
Eustace, yes.
Just this really weird, everyone's sweaty and it's hot and it's gross, and the score makes the movie because it's just like, it's one of the first movies to have like a jazz based score as opposed to like orchestral.
It feels sticky and claustrophobic on screen.
Yeah, it's so well done. It's a very good movie. Everyone should watch it at least once in your life.
Yeah.
Highly recommend. Now, speaking of 67 being one of the greatest years of cinema, there is another year that is widely recognized as one of the best in cinema history.
Is it earlier or later?
It's earlier.
Beans.
We're talking about 1939 here. 1939 brought us until, I think, Titanic, the highest grossing film of all time, Gone with the Wind. It brought us classic Jimmy Stewart performance in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Also in 52 must-see movies.
It brought us an adaptation that we're not covering coming up, Wuthering Heights.
Ugh.
It brought us a classic of the Western genre, Stagecoach. And it brought us the movie that every movie tries to be, which happens to be based on a book. And this is one that I think we might have to take more than one episode to fully cover.
Okay.
Next time out, we're going to do Wizard of Oz, based on the novel by Frank Baum.
I'm not seeing a downside here.
Well, next week will be The Wizard of Oz.
God damn it, I knew there was a catch.
And then the week after that, I think we're gonna fuck around with some other Oz-related shit. I think I might take a look at The Wiz. I think we might take a look at... Ow, Tobias, that is my thumb you are biting. I think I might take a look at Return to Oz, that terrifying sequel. I might look at that weird, like... Was it James Franco in that one?
Oh god, that was atrocious.
Was that James Franco or Zach Braff was in it as like the monkey?
That was James Franco as the wizard, yes.
I think we might take a look at like some random like other adaptations. And then I think we'll close out our 3 weeks in Oz with well, there's another movie based on a different book that takes place in the same universe.
You're gonna make me read Wicked, aren't you?
I'm gonna make you read Wicked. And then I'm gonna watch Wicked and Wicked Part 2.
You're gonna have more fun than I am.
I'm not sure I will. Because bear in mind, I've got that middle one where I gotta watch all that other bullshit.
Fair.
But it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. But until then, you can check out our link tree in the description below, linktr.ee/soonmajorpod. There you can find our social media accounts, our email address if you want to shoot us some information or anything we missed, suggestions for, whatever. Our high school mixtapes are there. We've got our Ko-Fi account there, which is super important because any dollar donated to that goes towards keeping this podcast on a podcast hosting site, which is expensive. You can also check out our other podcast, The Treatment, a podcast about stories, which we do with Mark Lucas, in which we spin the circle of stories, and whatever it lands on, we need to adapt into a feature film. And our most recent episode, we took our hand at the classic story Cinderella.
Oh yes, that was enjoyable.
It was a good one. We didn't go as off the rails, zany, crazy as we've done, like with Jack and Jill in space, but
we gave Mark his classic romance.
We had a good classic romance, and we threw our own little wrenches in there where we could, and I thought we did something special. So yeah, feel free to check that out wherever you get podcasts. But until next time, I have been Billy Beck.
I am Cody Beck.
And Toby is licking his fat belly. Shit, I have Olympics to watch. Bye!